This time, we go to a dry river that also isn't very dry. I mean, in fairness, though, it's not a river. Wait, so in so many ways, I mean, this is not for... There's a lot of wet here, but it's also not a river, guys. Come on. Come on. These map names are full gibbet. This is as bad as a map being called Mediterranean and a biome being called Mediterranean and a certain Age of Empires 2 Pro being caught off guard by it. I love that little detail from B. You saw that, right, folks? So, this time around playing the Ottomans, notice that he shifted there. The nice cool little thing you can do with the garrison switch out. Just small things like that to save time. Well, lol, it's rocky. It's not rocky. Guys, it's not rocky. Look. It's dry river. We've been lied to. But we've got one, again, from Anatan and B. Different civs this time, though. Holy Roman Empire in the hands of Anatan in the blue, and then Ottomans for B in the orange. And B has immediately gone to that military school. That was a cool little switcheroo, right? He sent 5 villagers down here to get the initial stone outcropping. And then when he got back, he dropped off and then ungarrisoned north side for the straggler tree. Love that little detail. Just saves him a few extra seconds as he switches between. Meanwhile, on the other side, I mean, much simpler for Anatan, you know. Me have hands. Me wave hands. Look at staff. Wow, I'm inspired. Let me gather at roughly, no, exactly 40% faster. Like, I don't know how that works, but that's the way it works. Maybe he's just very charismatic. It's not easy being charismatic as a ball person, but the Muslim pulls it off, so.
Yeah.
I'm sure this guy can. I mean, you gotta have some confidence to wear a long skirt like that anyway. Anyway, focusing on the game. Opening is gonna be very aggro-focused for B. And kind of makes sense, right? Like, you can do this, considering that you are up against the HRE, and HRE players are as greedy as fudge. They don't do anything but gather resources until Castle Age. So it looks like he's just trying to prioritize that pressure opportunity, right, with the spear spam. People mentioning the Relic spawn's a little bit blessed for the HRE. You're not wrong there. I hope this is an iteration and not the version that's going to appear at EGC. One thing I should highlight is I need to confirm with Pesty whether these maps are 100% in or if these are like ones that are being experimented with. I think we can check that ourselves, though. If I check Golden League 2 AoE 4, the map pool should be apparent. Yeah, these are confirmed. Maybe they get altered slightly before they are put into play because they seem a little bit fudged. I'm going to have to talk to Pesty about this. I mean, in fairness, like, right, the reality is that Petito is working his ass off to find seeds, so that this kind of isn't an issue. But I wonder how frequently this is a problem. I hope not too often. I mean, this is kind of absurd. But let's see if it plays into that a little bit later. For now, B is playing into the fishies. What? He deleted fish. Ban. Still remember Frizzy Marshes. I still remember feeling like a genius when I mentioned that in a cast. Yeah, remember, folks, in competitive, you're not allowed to delete fish intentionally. Of course, he's just here to get the fish himself. He's setting up the fishing boats. Meanwhile, Anatan went for a double pond control on the wide. So we'll get that locked in for the moment. But remember, because B open with the spears, he can just torch these down. And you don't really have a way of stopping him. In fact, I think B just prioritizes the docks here. Like, don't even go after the fishing boats. You're not going to kill them. Because if Anatan micros, even for a millisecond, like, he'll offset all the damage you're doing here. Remember, by the way, shoreline fish have been buffed, so making this play is a little bit more desirable than it was previously. They increased the rate, I think it's from 0.66 to maybe 0. Was it 7 or 0.75? I should remember, we spent over 3 hours reading patch notes, but apparently it escaped me. How many spears are we up to now? 7? I feel like B's probably going to keep going until maybe 9. That might just be through passive production that he gets there, though. He should be looking for his tech up timing now, because of course Anatan is going to be doing that. That's going to be priority. And the problem is, like, your spear push hasn't been super aggro to the point that you can guarantee you're going to get both docks before they get defenses out. Weirdly enough, B continues to prioritize onto the fishing boats. I mean, I know that the docks are a bit more tanky these days, right? It used to be 1,500, now it's 1,750. I think it was 2K at one point, if I remember correctly. But surely just going after the docks makes a lot more sense here. This is just getting kind of stupid now. Up to 7 spears. I mean, in fairness, at this count, you can actually kill these fishing boats very fast. There's an argument to be made that you could even kill an archer ship when it comes out. Remember, Anatan, he can't defend this, right? There's only so many garrison slots in the docks. You're on north side, only 1 spearman up here, so less aggro coming that way. Dude, everyone's waving their torches around like we're singing Kumbaya right now. This is kind of absurd. The zip point has been earned and beat. Okay, yeah, with the attack speed, I think he just kills these docks. I actually think if he brings the meta over, even if Anatan now gets an archer ship out, it dies. Is he building one as well? No, okay, this is much better. I was about to say, demo ship player is good. Because if I'm not mistaken, demo ship's base damage is 85, and these spearmen only have 80 health. Will B read it though? Oh my god, he knows the timing perfectly. He knew it. Anatan just got handled. I mean, it makes sense, right? B sees the tech up, and then you know that it takes 15 seconds to get a demo ship out. What a big brain. Anatan just got clapped. That's 160 resources burnt for nothing. Wow. And now it's time to head up north, baby. Chugga, chugga, choo-choo. Choo-choo for sure. It's a long way to go. Oh, my God. I mean, Anatan, you can be in chat here. I think he'll agree. That was super smooth from B. The timing could not have been more perfect. Wow. Crazy part is, like, if B mistimes that, like, if he miscounts it, if he doesn't keep track of it by 3 seconds, he loses 8 spearmen easily. Not even 3 seconds, 2 seconds, I think. Now, Anatan at home has to switch. It's going to be Trip Raxter up here. So, no likelihood that we're going to see Burgrave down the line. He wouldn't be able to afford it without the food at this rate anyway. That's the other thing. When you go for mine work, I think Burgrave is less accessible without fishing. Fishing that you sure as hell are not going to have. I mean, he hasn't even tried to get a demo ship, and oh, he's trying again. A second opportunity, but he's going to have to be fast here. Spearmen have been upgraded. They won't die straight away anymore. And, well, B will not even give an opportunity. Anatan, he makes the right call. He cancels the demo ship. So no more food for him. Unless he rebuilds onto the dock line. However, that has now been scouted out by B. Is B just going to win this game with mass spears? Because he's still only building spears. I actually think B's goal is to just hop, skip, and jump up into Castle Age now as quickly as possible. The logic is that there's nothing really you get in Feudal Age that you want to use against HRE, right? You don't want to be building into archers, not against men-at-arms, and the fact that they could scale. You don't want to be really building metas, not metas, sorry, supply either in mass, because once again, men-at-arms. Your best move is probably just to go up. We'll see if he's able to do that quick enough, though. He's only got 1 fishing station. That is being torched right now. Anatan trying to cheeky cheese it with mass men-at-arms. Keep in mind that Anatan cannot afford this long-term, though. Remember, he is now transitioning farms because he lost the docks. So, eco-wise, the burden is going to be there. He's about to hit double digits, but I think actually with the meta attack speed and the Spearmen, if B just goes in for the Imam point, I don't actually think men-at-arms win. Men-at-arms are at least able to torch that dock. Spears are now going to commit. Men-at-arms going to return fire. Numbers not really with Anatan, though. Of course, he does have the chunkiness to his boys, but when you're outnumbered like this, it doesn't matter. Look at B with the micro as well. Low HP Spearman just being peeled back. And Anatan, just like that, has burnt a lot of resources for little gains. Archer ship is going to guarantee it. Just adding to that harassment. Although B lost a lot of spears here, he already got the value out of those spears, right? Anatan on the other side, not so much for these men-at-arms. Problematic game now. One where Anatan is still in the middle of a farm transition. A farm transition which, by the way, is not going to be buffed like it would around Narcan Chapel. That's why I'm never convinced by the Minework Palace, even with all the changes. Like, it's the fact of what you sacrifice. Demo ship out. Nice play, Anatan. This time he gets to have a little bit of cake. You won't get to eat all of it. But he does still have a few spears alive, so we've got to continue torching down the dock. Anathan really just needs to pull across, right? He needs to actually address this before he loses his dock as well. Problem is he's lost so many men-at-arms, or taken so much damage at least. This much torch damage, actually, yeah, I think even with 2 men-at-arms here, B gets a torch and sets on fire before you kill him. It has to be really frustrating from Anatan's perspective as well. You know, you feel like you had confident control. The Spearman forces you to react. But then by the time you're reacting, he has so many that you're just not trading efficiently. Anatan, in for a penny, in for a pound, right? When you build 4 Raxus, you better damn well use them. He's building as many men-at-arms as he can get his hands on. It's getting a little bit better now that he's got the farms structured around the TC. But he doesn't really have any additional food beyond that. All right, the fishing got blocked out again. So he needs to shift out of his base, and the scout sees everything. Anatan making a dangerous play onto the deer site. Not too far from home. The info is now known. Men-at-arms are not paying attention to the fact that B has made the similar play far, far away. B, of course, who does now have that blacksmith, so is able to increase the passive reduction rates. B, we mention it, right? When you're playing up against this type of comp, when you see your opponent starts to mass men-at-arms, your goal should be to ignore Feudal Age as quickly as possible. And that's exactly what is happening from B here. Castle Age should be within reach within the next 40 seconds. Wow, if he fixes his food right now, everyone's taking a coffee break from gathering. We did mention that he went for Sultani Trade Network as well, which is quite a surprising detail. Like, I know you have the ponds, but the Madrissa backup actually makes a lot of sense if you think there's going to be back and forth aggro. Meanwhile, the Sultani Trade Network, outside of giving some passive gold, has 0 value here. There is no trade that you can do. It's kind of weird. The amount of times I want to see Sultani but see Madrissa, and I respect the Madrissa choice, but now that this is one of those situations where I really do think Madrissa makes a lot more sense. Especially considering how many people he's already got in gold. Seeing there's people in gold, they might be a little bit exposed. B, yet to start his tech up here. Now, Anatan, with his dive, he does have the ranged armor here. So the early men-at-arms aren't going to die that fast. Shuffle around, though, as the villagers... Dude, this formation shuffling is absurd. Always allows you to dodge death so easily. Anatan, while he does slow down B's timing, I want you guys to remember that Anatan has put everything into this. He does not have any castle age available to him. Meanwhile, B, he's still getting food. So while he can't go for his tech up yet, when he does, it's going to be fast. It's going to be hard. And it's going to be on the way, with the Istanbul Imperial Palace being the choice. Not one we see often here. Remember, for those that haven't seen it, the big deal with this is it gives you the experience at twice the rate, and also increases your Vizier point limit. So compared to the alternative of getting free siege, like this has kind of a higher ceiling for the late game because you'll be able to unlock more things than you otherwise would. But you are giving up a really big, potent timing with the Imperial Armory. Logic here, by the way, for B is why do I want an Imperial Armory against the HRE? Mangonel's kind of worthless because I'm going to be playing against mass melee. There's no range to think about. So in that regard, I actually think like situation against HRE opponents, Imperial Palace makes a lot of sense. Well, Anatan at home. I mean, honestly, I think you're stuck now. He's tried to move out onto the food. He's going to try to burn the docks down to push B out, but remember, folks, Anatan has no food to his name. So while he's about to start gathering, this is not your HRE 40% buff gathering rate on everyone. This is not going to be your fast castle timing. Anatan is probably going to take another 2 minutes at least to get castle age. That's worrisome because you've shown your hand. You're already in for a penny, in for a pound of men-at-arms, and I mean, you always were going to show your hand, right? Like, what do HRE players do? It's always heavily armored units. So what does B have to do to counter that? Crossbowmen. Every day of the week. What would you do in Anatan's situation, folks? Playing from behind like this, what do you try to do? You need castle age, you know it. You're already 20 into a men-at-arms play. And that's what you got active in the field. That's not what you've lost. There's plenty more that died already. Like, you haven't got a clear pivot, right? It's one of those games where you know full well that you're playing into your opponent's plan now, but there isn't many other options available to you. Probably the best one Anatan has is Castle Age into Mangonel. but he's still then gambling if his opponent is building crossbows or knights. Because both of those plays are viable at the beginning of Castle Age for an Ottoman player, especially if you don't have mobility. And also because you don't have Castle Age, you don't have these heavy maces to counter heavy cavalry. I'll type GG. Why waste time, right? It's like, oh, it's done. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'd have a timing, but the problem is that Anatan didn't go into his opponent's base. He did everything but. Right, like the first run-in that stopped the Castle Age was good. But then when he runs away, like that's when you feel there's a big question mark over what's next. That dive into the base for Anatan is good if he has access to food at the same time. But he was only accessing food as he was making that run, right? When he was shifting out to the ponds. I think that's what really hurt him here. And now I think he just gets picked apart. Double Imam play with the AoE heal. I honestly don't see how Anatan wins. Regnitz is on the way. If there's any way to get back into it, it's going to be there. The relics, we talked about them. They're in good position for him. But remember, B, he could just pick those relics up. He's got double Imam to even start doing it, to be honest. I also think Anatan maybe made his play a bit obvious now. The way he's pulling back to base, B definitely knows there's a tech up coming. So he should shift out everywhere. Yeah, he's going to go out for the deer again. Probably moves out to scout for all the ecos, and he'll find them. Spahi just proven to be a little bit of a nuisance over here. So many villagers in this area as well. I mean, honestly, if B just beelines towards that, no pun intended, pretty sure Anatan's eco just flatlines. Check a little wall play coming out. Isn't going to be successful though. B. I still feel good about the map right now. You can see it on the vision. Just look at the mini-map right now. He covers every aspect of where Anatan needs to go. And he is on his way with the big boys. I mean, the crossbows will cut down the villagers easy peasy. Tech up is on the way for Anatan. So he's going to upgrade all his men-at-arms. Substantial increase in his effective HP and damage output in these fights. But I'm noticing the Lanx neck detail, and I like that. I think the Lanx are the way you can get back in this. Probably your only way right now. You need quite a few of them, though. And the problem he's going to have is if he doesn't bank more relics, you're not going to have the gold. In fact, when you look at the relics, I'm a bit worried the fact that B already has 2 on the way home. Crossbows. Proving nuisance to the galleys as well. I mean, they hit so bloody hard. Although to keep the men-at-arms away. And remember that meta? Oh, no. Honestly, you can't run away. You actually can't run away from the crossbows. They're faster than you. Weirdly enough, Anatan's going to commit. B was not expecting this. Oh, nice pushback, though. The boom ship does a little bit of damage. What a play out of Anatan there. To push into the crossbows to force the retreat out of B, into the demo ship, the timing as well. Even with that timing, though, you know, this isn't the intercontinental nuclear tactical demo ships we're used to seeing at release. These are baby demos, so it doesn't do enough damage. And now in the retreat, you could easily lose just as many troops. I think they do see that prelate trying to yoink. So Anatan unlikely to take this one away. Remember, the conversion was already used as well, so no cheeky plays. Nice use of one of the Lanx gear, though. Just keep the villagers off. Anatan, despite everything that's happened to him, despite how ugly this game has looked, he's looking like he could crack Imperial Age. It will come at a price, though. Right, the reason why he looks like he can get it is because of how much he was gathering on the fish. But now that he's known, now that he's seen, look at the damage he's taken on these villies. A long way for them to get home. There's not really much in the way of food back here. He's got the boar he can try to play towards the deer as well. Okay, I say there's not much. There's loads of food here, to be honest with you. There's not much safety, is what I think I'm trying to get at here. And B does know. Look. Okay, that's well played by B. He knows it's coming. He just wants to know when. The crazy part is if Anatan just went back. If he just went to the side of his base, he'd have food again. And I know, folks, I know he's got 1,900 food. The reason I say it like he needs a lot more food is because he just spent it. He now needs access to new food sources because this many farms is not going to sustain you. Tech up's on the way. And it is going to be that pass to Swabia. Outpost being spammed up the wazoo also. B, remember, he's in for a penny, in for a pound at this point. No intent to go and Imperial himself. Now, he's in the middle of a farm transition. This could leave him quite weak, actually. Remember that farm transition hasn't really been completed for Anatan either. This doesn't count, folks. Like, having this small count of farms, like, what, just up to 11, doesn't really get you out of the woodworks. Yeah, it doesn't get you out of the forest. Well, he just revealed what he's doing up here as well. Villagers attack the Sipahi. So B will head straight up there with a few knights. Main army can hold in the center. Tech up complete for Anatan. But now he needs to get the unlocks. And folks, he doesn't have many relics. He only has one. So gold-wise, he's actually not got much to work with. He already exhausted what he had at home due to the Lanks and the men-at-arms. Has got that additional gold vein on the front side, but if he wants to get his Imperial Age techs, he needs to get mining soon. Villagers forced away in the meantime. Knights are proving a nuisance. B himself with a lot of gold at his disposal. He needs to decide what he wants to do here. I think he's going to be looking for a cast stage timing. I don't think Imperial Age is the goal straight away. Not without more damage done. Something crossbow would work with as well. This would be the time where Anatan would benefit a lot from getting a siege workshop up. Instead, he's building out more farms.
Farms that, of course, will not make their return in investment as quickly because they're not buffed by prelates.
It all comes back to that gold factor, right? Gold for the siege, gold for more Lanks needed, gold for prelates needed because he's not building them out of the Regnates. I actually think that's kind of a little bit of a whoopsie-daisy, a missed opportunity, really. I think actually being up to 10 prelates is fine here. A few to heal the Inspired Warriors down the line, and the rest to just buff your eco lines. That just doesn't exist for Anatan right now. Anatan looking a bit desperate when he's on the stone like this. He needs a keep. Would benefit from some walls on the flanks as well. Like, you see you're up against knights, you know raids can come in soon. Crossbows starting to clash. The Lanks are trying to intercept here. There aren't many of them, so this army should actually get wiped. And folks, Anatan still doesn't have Imperial Age men-at-arms. These are not elite. So these trades, while you think, oh, why is Anatan not winning these trades? He's Imperial Age. Why has he not got the best units? He can't afford them still. So this army is doing really nothing. Anatan now trying to fully switch into Horsemen. Not the worst of ideas. The question now is whether you can switch fast enough. Do you have enough stables for this? He doesn't have any at home. They're actually spread out across the map. Cannon placement is at least coming in soon from Anatan. B, and I can't help but feel that a battering ram would have been pretty MVP this game. He has got a blacksmiths, but he never went for the cheap siege engineering tech. The reason is, got to remember, like, the torch damage gets reduced by the outpost fortification on top of getting extra 1,000 health. I don't know this. B's attempts to dodge the cannon shots are probably killing more of his troops, to be honest. Yeah, B's taking kind of a weird approach to this north side. I like the fact he's trying to shut it down, prevent the food gathering, but he has left a lot of room at home for Anatan. You know, gold-wise, he still has reserves. He's got loads of stone. I would love to see a few knights from the Ottoman army just make their way into that economy. Because I think Anatan is completely exposed, right? He's walking naked through the streets here. He has less than 5 military units. Yeah, it's looking like it's pretty done at this point, to be honest with you folks. You know, Palace of Swabi is amazing. It can do amazing things. It has in the past. But when you're in a eco lock like this, where it's not, I have all these resources, I need more people to take them out. It's that I need to create new resources to exploit. Then your transition becomes weaker, right? It becomes a lot slower. This keep, even in the center, isn't really going to achieve much when you think about the flanks. Like, the only way this works for Anatan, yeah, okay, there you go. Start at the back, defend on the front. I would say you actually need some walls as well. Like, he could have tried to stonewall this side and then had enough to keep, but either way, I think you're in a situation where doing both those plays, the time it would take would be a bit too long, as B's army is on the way. Sacred sites have been locked in, so timer is ticking down in favor of the Ottomans. B. Remember, he never made a full farm transition. He just skirted and flirted. Kind of a nice thing for him, right? He didn't need to, because he had access to those ponds. So what's kept the war machine going. They continue to do so yet. Cannon placements are coming in. Flash of the Knight's not working out. The villagers, I don't know where the hell they're going. To Valhalla, I guess. Feels like they're being conscripted here. Everyone garrisoning inside the outpost, but that's not going to last long. These outposts are not fortified. Instead, B might just turn onto everyone trying to defend instead of the defenses himself. Torch damage coming in. Outpost quick to fall. E-repairs to be used here, but remember, you can just switch targets. You don't need to commit like this. There are 2 other outposts that are undefended. The fortifications are coming in a bit too slow here. That passive heal might not seem like much, but +1 HP on everyone in the vicinity is adding up. Janissary is also added to the retinue, so counter to the horsemen. Just enough torch damage left to get rid of these outposts, after which this is free reign for B. Because Anatan has nothing to defend with behind this. Remember, he committed a keep on the north side. I honestly don't think Anatan's got anything left. You know how everyone's like, cannons are broken, please nerf? B just stood underneath 3 of them like it was nothing. Cannons are fine. HRE. Looking a bit roughed up here, though. Minework Palace, still not so fine. Okay, that one was kind of harsh. That one wasn't just on Minework Palace, but I don't think it, like, I think it kind of didn't help the matter either. I've already made my opinion clear on this. Like, the Arkan Chapel build, I think, made people very complacent in the way that they did or did not use prelates. And something that I think I highlighted a few minutes beforehand in this game is that something that was very lacking from Anatan was utilization of the Holy Inspiration as the game went on. He wasn't replacing lost prelates. He wasn't using their regnants to push out more. I actually think this could have helped him a lot with his economy at home. And given the way that the mid-game was playing out, actually just having those farms set up nicely with the gathering rate increase, having your gold line with more people gathering quicker, like, I think it would have made up the difference in cost quickly. That would be kind of like my takeaway from Anatan's perspective. The men-at-arms play feels a little bit rough the way it ends, right? Great delay on stopping B's cast stage timing, but after that it gets a bit flimsy. That wasn't my problem. My problem genuinely was the way that Holy Inspiration wasn't being leveraged here. It's such a big buff to the HRE, and it felt like once we were past the first 16 villages, it didn't really exist for Anatan in this game. So maybe something to be utilized there, but you can't take anything away from B. You know, baiting the early boom ship usages that failed, the way he aggroed the mid-map with the spears, the way he even took fights against men-at-arms with those spears was impressive and what made this game so difficult for Anatan to try and muster together.